According to a recent study by the CIPD, hybrid working is the most popular choice, with 63% of businesses planning to prioritize hybrid work. While we all know there are many benefits to this model, in order to make it work, as hybrid work managers, it's important to consider personality types. For example, your structure needs to suit the needs of introverts as well as extroverts and anyone across the spectrum. If it doesn't, you're likely to see a negative impact on employee engagement and ultimately on the retention of talent. Let me share an example. Now, Erin is a mid-level account executive at an advertising agency that champions collaboration and teamwork. The agency offices have a beautiful open floor plan, numerous conference rooms for group meetings, and a lot of areas for employees to also just relax and engage with each other socially. She attends bi-weekly briefings where every team member is required to provide at least one good idea. But there are pieces of this environment that create problems for introverts like Erin. She sits in her open floor cubicle and finds that she cannot concentrate with her colleagues coming up to her desk unannounced, asking for help with their own projects or chatting. She can feel the quality of her work deteriorate. She starts to burn out, simply waiting for the weekend to have some time to be alone in her apartment. She sees her friendships and relationships slipping, and she can't have time to relax on weekends. She's also socially exhausted from the constant over-collaboration in the week. This is a great, although unfortunate, example of an over-collaborative environment. It doesn't allow and truly empower introverted employees to work in a way that allows them to deliver on their strengths. Now, while collaboration is essential to successful projects, and outcomes, leaders need to understand that employees are unique with different ways of working. Erin needs space to process her ideas on her own, and the office setup doesn't always allow her to do it. When she leaves for a different agency, one with a collaborative space, but also individual offices for herself or remote or hybrid structures, she thrives. Now, during the COVID-19 pandemic, many introverts thrived in their work roles, from the independence to the less social interaction to opportunities for more autonomy. If you're an introvert, chances are you've enjoyed this way of working. So what happens in a hybrid model? With extroverts more likely to want to meet in person, how do you ensure that your introverted employees remain engaged, productive, and happy? And not all extroverts want to meet in person, but they tend to be more likely to. The key is to consider several approaches to engaging with introverted and extroverted employees. Here are some rules to follow. You can use these rules using the worksheet called How to Engage Introverts to Extroverts. When connecting with introverts, prepare for meetings ahead of time. Introverts thrive when they're given the chance to reflect and prepare. They don't like to wing it. They work well with systems and structure, and your hybrid model should frankly allow for this. Send a clear agenda and questions a few days before a meeting so that they have time to process and prepare. Schedule downtime between long meetings. Going from one meeting to the next is likely to be frustrating, draining, and exhausting. Introverts like autonomy, so make sure you allow plenty of downtime in between meetings to decompress and focus on their tasks. Also, have an open line of communication outside of just meetings. Make it clear that communication can happen at any time, not just during a designated meeting. Encourage them to email, to message you with their thoughts after a meeting. By doing this, you're effectively giving them the time to think and speak when they're ready. Also, stop interrupting. Unlike extroverts, introverts are unlikely to vie for their voice to be heard. They may not try to speak again if they're interrupted. And if it happens repeatedly, people can feel sidelined. So as a hybrid work manager, use tools, the chat bar, the hand-raising gesture, to create spaces or have a moderator to ensure that everyone's voice is heard. Active listening also matters. Now, in an environment, introverts are excellent listeners, so have a pause before people speak. Actually, give everyone a minute. It is crucial because it gives everyone a space to think about a question or thought and then speak up. And when we know they're ready to speak up, we know that they've thoughtfully constructed their ideas. And last but not least, create a time limit as a moderator of meetings so louder voices don't monopolize the conversation. Now, those are some examples of how to best connect with introverts, but I'd argue that they also help many ambiverts and extroverts in hybrid work who have also adapted to the times. Let's now talk about how to connect with extroverts. Give them face time. It matters to them. Extroverts often have a great time in meetings, so try to make sure to know when to set up face-to-face or video meetings so that they can talk through things that they need to. Phone conversations and chat may seem less personal, which can feel hard for an extroverted colleague, especially for a long period of time. Secondly, with extroverts, set up spaces for ideation. Use breakout rooms so that extroverts get a chance to share their ideas before being in a large group. This gives them an opportunity to speak with a lesser risk of having them take up all the airtime. Also, set up opportunities to connect. It could be virtual water cooler moments, a digital lunch and learn. Now, these are just some examples, but use the worksheet as a download to remind you how to be more thoughtful of engaging with introverts to extroverts. Now, the introvert-extrovert dichotomy, as we all know, is only one of many different personality styles that can change the way team members interact with one another. There are other personality traits that can include how serious someone is, how much they like to share about their personal lives at work, and, for example, how comfortable they are with digital technologies. To become a great hybrid work manager, it's just as important to check in on your own personality style and how it manifests in your communications. My friend Aria is the CEO of a company. She's known for her upbeat, friendly personality. She uses emojis, exclamations, GIFs, all signs of a work personality that is casual and personable and very much digitally extroverted. Recently, in a hurried Slack channel response, Aria responded with a simple "okay" with a period. No problem, right? But later that day, there was a problem. Apparently, the team found Aria's "okay" with a period chilling. Everyone assumed Aria was furious with them. They were used to a different digital persona from her. Now, this ensuing anxiety could have been avoided if Aria had thought about how the switch in her tone could have affected them. But it was also important for the team to mindfully communicate and assume the best intent. Now, I want you to think concretely about how your team plans to be inclusive of everyone, no matter their personality or working style. Furthermore, I want you to think about how this will reinforce a positive culture of productivity, accountability. Remember that we may make mistakes in hybrid work, but what's important is to use the examples I shared in this video to check your bias, to spot potential habits, to intentionally ask your teams about their natural digital style so that you can reduce confusion and create a culture of engagement and clarity.